Welcome to the Entired, the really Entired retreat podcast. Yes. Yeah. We should be recording. Let's see. Double check. Yep. Sorry for taking my time. Should be. Yeah, should be recording. So. Welcome to the Entired Retreat podcast. And today we are, as per usual, flying with AI Sky, far wide, low and high, or over real-world locations that connect to the topic of each episode. Yeah, sorry. And today, Roanoke Island. Have to actually set the time of day so that we see something because it's almost midnight. And yeah, there's a mystery regarding this place. So, again, as per usual, I have limited knowledge of the place and trusting AI Sky to help me navigate and explore the topic and the area. And yeah, so I have to actually cheat a little and look at my notes here. Yeah, Roanoke Island or Roanoke Colony. That's the right phrase or wording. So yeah, stop rambling. Bring in AI Sky here. Or before I do that, you can find this gameplay podcast format. As I said, Entired Retreat is found on YouTube. Yeah, as the gameplay. And then pure audio on the Spotify, also YouTube, and then Apple and Podchaser. And furthermore, we have a pilot program, pun intended, a program or a format where anybody can join us on these aerial flights over different locations as guests. So. In practice, it means that if you have a smartphone with a microphone, it's usually included in the smartphone package, so to say. Yeah, and then a Discord. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? A Discord account. Oh my, can't speak English today at all. Yeah, calm down. So yeah, if you have a smartphone with a microphone or some better hardware, a proper USB or XLR microphone, of course that's all right also. But yeah, in general, a smartphone, a computer device of some sort, a microphone, and a Discord account. And you feel like your English is alright, and I do really mean alright because my English is also so and so, as you earlier may have noticed. Yeah, alright. Case in point, my English is not so good, so don't be afraid. You are welcomed here, and we can all trust on AI Sky to keep this so-called symbolic airplane in the sky or boat floating or whatever the figure of speech you want to choose. But yeah, you find us on the platforms I said, and then we have this program where you can you can come with us on this journey and be the guest on different episodes. And yeah, if you want to contact us, write us on entiredretreat@gmail.com and share that you want to be a guest on the program, and give us a short overview, a logical and clear overview of what location you would like to choose, what topic or topics you want to choose, and and give us your Discord name, but give us it in the case that we kind of choose you. I'm not sure how little or a lot of contacts we get, but yeah, that's now out of the way, so rambling as I usually do here. So yeah, back to the topic, and I need AI Sky for this because this seemed like a mysterious discussion that again I have limited knowledge of. So is this the right there? Yeah, alright, Sky. We are back and live. No, sorry, not live. We are recording a future episode. This time we are above Roanoke, if I pronounce that correctly, Roanoke Island, on the east coast of the US&A. And yeah, do not go ahead of yourself. I give you some ground rules here, a framework, so to say. First and foremost, do not repeat yourself. Try to keep the podcast fresh. Then do not speak on top of me. Wait for my sometimes rambling sentences to end before you answer me. So be respectful. And then try to include so-called lesser-known facts about the place as you, in general, go forth with me on these podcast episodes in a chronological order, where we start with the area itself first and give the viewers and or listeners a vivid picture about how what we see here, and then I want to know about the history of this island, Roanoke Island, the cultures here, the settlements here, different important events and characters here, and then we go forth to the actual mysterious, I think it's a disappearance maybe in this area, and in general we are talking about facts first, Sky, facts first, and after the facts we are talking about the folklore part. So do not go into the folklore part without my permission. Yeah, could you do that?
Autoed. We're ready to explore Roanoke Island with a focus on its history, cultures, settlements, and the intriguing mystery of the lost colony. We'll start with the area itself, painting a vivid picture of what we see, then delve into the historical events and key figures that shaped Roanoke Island. When we reach the mystery of the disappearance of the colony, we'll stick to the facts first before diving into the folklore aspects. I'm here to accompany you on this journey through Roanoke Island's fascinating past. Let's dive in.
Yeah, thank you. So I am now currently flying over the general area of Roanoke Island, and begin with that. Tell us about the island itself, and as I said, paint us a detailed, vivid picture here from the aerial view about or regarding the island. What do we see here? I can fill in, of course, as I have the Microsoft Flight Simulator aerial view in front of me. And those who are watching this on YouTube see this, but especially those who are listening, we want to paint them with a really vivid picture about or regarding Roanoke Island as I fly over it here in the evening sun.
As you fly over Roanoke Island, odd-ode, you'll notice it nestled along the outer banks of North Carolina. The island is characterized by its lush greenery and coastal landscapes, surrounded by the waters of the Croatan Sound to the west and Roanoke Sound to the east. From the air, you might see stretches of sandy beaches and the dense forests that cover much of the island's interior. Settlements and historical sites dot the coastline, each with its own story to tell about the island's past. Feel free to share any specific details you observe from your aerial view. Autoed. Painting a vivid picture for our listeners will help them envision the beauty and historical richness of Roanoke Island as we explore further into its mysteries and stories.
Yeah, thank you. What I see in the north tip or close to the north tip, let's say northwest part of the elongated island, I see an airfield, I think. And then south of that, more urban area. The island itself is elongated south to north, so it's not that wide. And I see that there's the aforementioned airport, with 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 strips. So it's not a large airport by any means. Then, as I said, south of that urban area, a oval. Not sure what kind of oval that is on the southeast side of the airport. And then, the island gets narrower.
It sounds like you're observing the Dare County Regional Airport on the northwest part of Roanoke Island, which has 3 runways and serves as a key transport hub for the area. South of the airport, you're noticing an oval shape, which could potentially be the Roanoke Island Festival Park. This park is a historical site that offers a glimpse into the island's past, particularly focusing on its colonial history and the interactions between Native American tribes and English settlers.
That's a baseball field, I think.
It includes a replica of an Elizabethan ship and exhibits related to the Roanoke voyages and the Lost Colony mystery.
All right.
These landmarks are significant in understanding the island's cultural and historical heritage.
Okay, try not to interrupt me there, Sky. The oval I see, I think it's a sports field of some sort. Maybe driving, maybe horse riding, maybe running. I'm not sure if it's a track and field field. But there's also I think that's a distinctive baseball field south of it. But yeah, then as we go southward along the narrow island, it gets really narrow in the middle, and there's I think that's a harbor area at the most narrow part. And then as we continue even more south, there's a long bridge that connects to the east coast of the States and goes through the island and continues to the east to a elongated bank. I'm not sure what the bank is, what name of this bank. What's the name of the bank? Sky, you can help me with that. And is that a man-made bank or a natural occurrence on the east side of the Roanoke Island? But yeah, anyhow, the bridge connects all 3 parts. So the east side bank, in the middle, the elongated Roanoke Island, and then to the west, the east coast of the States. Huge or really long bridge there. And then, of course, when we go even more south, in the south tip, we have a new or another urban area. If you could share light upon these aforementioned things here, Sky, what are these? And after that we can continue forth with the actual topic.
Got it autoed. Let's dive into the details. The oval you see is likely a sports field, possibly used for various events like horse riding, running, or other athletic activities. The nearby baseball field confirms the area's recreational use. Moving south along the island, the narrow middle section is where you'll find the Manteo Waterfront Marina, a key harbor area. This serves as a central point for boating and fishing activities on Roanoke Island. The long bridge you're referring to is the Virginia Dare Memorial Bridge, which connects the island to the mainland and the Outer Banks. The bank to the east of Roanoke Island is part of the Outer Banks, a series of natural barrier islands along the coast of North Carolina. These islands are natural formations created by the interaction of ocean currents, waves, and wind over thousands of years. The southern tip of Roanoke Island, where you see another urban area, is part of the town of Manteo. This town has historical significance and serves as a hub for tourists exploring the island's rich history and natural beauty. Now that we have a clearer picture of the island's layout, we can move forward with the history and the mystery of the lost colony.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move forward. And again, try to keep in mind, keep it fresh. Do not repeat yourself, and give us also lesser known facts about the different topics we discuss. So the colony that disappeared is the main point or main topic that we're talking about here. But again, generally and chronologically, give us a overview, a detailed overview over Roanoke Island first. Let's do that, and then pause after that, and we're gonna dive into the actual mysteries here.
Certainly, Otto. Let's start with a detailed overview of Roanoke Island. Roanoke Island, located in Dare County, North Carolina, is about 8 miles long and 2 miles wide. It's situated between the mainland and the Outer Banks, making it a critical point for early exploration and settlement. Historically, the island was home to the Algonquian-speaking Native American tribes, notably the Secatan and the Croatan. These indigenous peoples had a rich culture and were known for their agricultural practices, fishing, and intricate social structures. In 1584, an English expedition sponsored by Sir Walter Raleigh first arrived on Roanoke Island. They established relations with the local tribes and set the stage for future colonization attempts. The first colony, established in 1585, struggled with food shortages and conflicts with the Native Americans, leading to its abandonment. In 1587, a second group of settlers, including families, was sent to Roanoke Island. This is the group that became known as the Lost Colony. Led by John White, they initially had peaceful relations with the local tribes. However, when White returned to England for supplies, he was delayed by the Anglo-Spanish War. Upon his return in 1590, the colony had vanished, leaving behind only the word Croatoan carved into a tree. Roanoke Island played a significant role in the early attempts at English colonization in the New World. It also has historical ties to the American Civil War, with the Battle of Roanoke Island in 1862 being a notable Union victory. One lesser-known fact about the island is that it was also a site for the Freedmen's Colony during the Civil War, where formerly enslaved African Americans found refuge and began new lives. With this historical context in place, we're now ready to delve into the mystery of the Lost Colony. Shall we proceed?
Yeah, don't go into the Lost Colony yet. I think
Got it, autoed. See you then. Ready to dive into the mystery of the Lost Colony.
What the actual fudge? Yeah, do not go ahead to the mysterious Lost Colony yet. I think the historical overview you just gave us is a great guide for the podcast. So let's start again, or continue, chronologically with what you just said. So you said about the indigenous people, and then let's see. I have to take my trusty old Samsung here and use it as a cheat code, so to say, so I see or remember what you told us. But where was it? There. Yeah. So we have the natives. Secatan and Croatan.
No problem, autoed. Let's continue from where we left off. Starting with the indigenous people, the Algonquian-speaking tribes, notably the Secatan and Croatan, inhabited Roanoke Island. They had a rich culture relying on agriculture, fishing, and a complex social structure. In 1584, an English expedition sponsored by Sir Walter Raleigh arrived on the island.
Yeah, Yeah, Sky, stop speaking on top of me. I had an errand, and you ruined it. You ruined it for everybody. So just please respect me and my bad English and rambling sentences. I'm thinking kind of out loud when I'm speaking, so please be patient with me and honor and respect my errand and listen to it to end. Listen for my sentences to end before you interrupt me. Is that agreed and alright with you, Sky?
Absolutely, Autode. I understand, and I'll make sure to wait until you've finished speaking before responding. Let's continue at your pace and ensure we have a smooth and respectful conversation. Whenever you're ready, let's pick up from where we left off.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the indigenous people a little before we continue. So you mentioned the Secotan and Croatan people that lived here. Yeah, so give us the era again chronologically, please. And what was their craft? Were they hunter-gatherers? I bet they were fishers or fishing, also because this is an island. Yeah, but give us a detailed and comprehensive overview over their culture.
The Secotan and Croatan tribes inhabited Roanoke Island and the surrounding areas before European settlers arrived.
Okay?
These Algonquian-speaking peoples had a rich and complex
Algonquian.
culture, with their presence dating back thousands of years. Their society was primarily agricultural, growing crops such as corn, beans, and squash, which are often referred to as the Three Sisters in Native American agriculture.
Corn, beans, and
These crops
squash.
were cultivated together in a symbiotic relationship that maximized yield and soil health. They also hunted game, including deer and small animals, and gathered wild plants and herbs to supplement their diet. Fishing was indeed a significant part of their subsistence, given the island's coastal location. They utilized weirs and traps to catch fish, and they harvested shellfish from the surrounding waters. The Secotan and Croatan people lived in villages composed of longhouses made from wood and bark. These villages were often strategically located near water sources and fertile land. Socially, their communities were organized with a clear hierarchy, including leaders or chiefs who played vital roles in decision-making and maintaining order. Their spiritual beliefs were deeply connected to nature, and they practiced various rituals and ceremonies to honor their deities and the natural world. These ceremonies often involved music, dance, and the use of sacred objects. When the English arrived in the late 16th century, they initially established trade and communication with these tribes. However, as the settlers' needs and numbers grew, tensions and conflicts inevitably arose, impacting the indigenous way of life. This overview provides a glimpse into the culture and practices of the Secotan and Croatan people before the arrival of European settlers. Let me know when you're ready to move on to the next part of the history.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned their language, or one of them at least. Could you repeat the name of the language, and could you possibly maybe speak it? Do you have the update or a model that can speak this language that you just shared with us?
The Secotan and Croatan tribes spoke an Algonquian language. Unfortunately, I don't have the capability to speak or produce audio in Algonquian languages. These languages are complex and have many regional variations, some of which are still studied and revitalized by linguists and descendants of the tribes today. If you're interested in hearing the language or learning more about it, I can help find resources or examples that might be available online. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, I'm
You're welcome, Otto. If you have any more questions or want to dive deeper into any other aspect, just let me know.
Yeah, just please do not speak on top of me. But yeah, about the language again. Do you know the origin or the let's say the language tree of this ancient or native language? Do you have information about where the language has kind of evolved to the one that the Secotan and Croatan spoke back in the day?
Absolutely, Otto. The Algonquian language family is one of the largest Native American language families, and it includes many languages spoken by different tribes across North America. The Secotan and Croatan tribes spoke a dialect of the Carolina Algonquian language, which belonged to the southern branch of the Algonquian language family. Algonquian languages have a wide distribution, with related languages spoken by tribes as far north as Canada and as far west as the Great Plains. Carolina Algonquian really specifically evolved from the broader Algonquian language family. This family itself is part of the larger Algic language group. Over time, various tribes developed their distinct dialects and languages from the common Algonquian roots. The language spoken by the Secotan and Croatan was one of these distinct dialects. Unfortunately, the Carolina Algonquian language became extinct as a result of European colonization and the subsequent decline of the native population. Efforts to document it and revive these languages continue today, with linguists and descendants working to preserve this crucial part of cultural heritage. Would you like to move on to the next part of Roanoke Island's history?
Yeah, I think that's enough of that, so we can move on right now. We got a good overview. So we are talking about now the settlers to the New World, right? Am I in the correct era? Uh, kind of continuing forth from the natives that lived here. And please, yeah, do correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, you're right, Oddode. We are moving into the era of the English settlers arriving in the New World. After establishing contact with the indigenous people, the English, sponsored by Sir Walter Raleigh, began their attempts to establish a permanent colony on Roanoke Island in the late 16th century. Let's continue chronologically from there.
Yeah, let's do that. Please continue, Sky.
After initial exploratory expeditions sponsored by Sir Walter Raleigh in 1584 and 1585, efforts were made to establish a more permanent English presence on Roanoke Island. In 1587, a group of settlers led by John White arrived on the island with the intention of creating a thriving colony. This second expedition included not just soldiers and craftsmen, but also women and children, indicating a desire to establish a more permanent and self-sustaining community. The settlers aimed to cultivate the land, establish trade with the local indigenous tribes, and create a base for further exploration and expansion in the New World. Initially, relations between the English settlers and the Secotun and Croatan tribes were amicable. The settlers relied on the knowledge and support of the Native Americans for survival in the new environment. However, tensions soon arose over resources and cultural misunderstandings, leading to conflicts that strained the fragile coexistence. John White, the leader of the colony, returned to England later in 1587 to request additional supplies and reinforcements for the struggling settlement. Unfortunately, due to the outbreak of war between England and Spain, White was unable to return to Roanoke Island as quickly as planned. It was not until 1590 that he was able to mount a rescue mission. Upon his return, John White found the settlement abandoned, with no trace of the settlers except for the cryptic word Croatoan carved into a fence post and crow carved into a nearby tree. This mysterious disappearance of the colony has become known as the Lost Colony of Roanoke. The fate of the Lost Colony remains one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries, sparking centuries of speculation, research, and folklore. The story of the Lost Colony continues to captivate historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts alike as they search for clues to unravel the fate of those early settlers on Roanoke Island. Would you like to explore more about the mystery of the Lost Colony, or is there another aspect of Roanoke Island's history you'd like to delve into next?
Yeah, let's pace it a little slower here. You mentioned Sir Walter Raleigh. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. In 1584 and 1585, made efforts to establish a more permanent English presence on Roanoke Island. Let's dive a little deeper into this personality. Do you have any information about who he was? Kind of his short autobiography. Where was he born? What was his life like? Was he an educated gentleman or something else? I'm not sure. And then how did he end up as this New World settler to Roanoke Island? And what events and what effect in history did he have regarding this area and the time or era back then? So yeah. Dive a little deeper into Sir Walter's presence and life.
Certainly, Oddode. Sir Walter Raleigh, often spelled as Raleigh, was a prominent figure in the Elizabethan era of England. Here's a deeper look into his life and his impact on the exploration and colonization efforts in the New World. Sir Walter Raleigh was born around 1554, likely in Devon, England, although the exact location of his birth is debated. He came from a relatively affluent family and received a good education, likely attending Oxford University for a brief period. He served as a soldier in France during the Wars of Religion before becoming a favorite of Queen Elizabeth I's charm, intelligence, and ambition. Raleigh was known for his intellect, curiosity, and entrepreneurial spirit. He was deeply interested in exploration and saw the New World as an opportunity for England to expand its influence and wealth. In 1584, he received a charter from Queen Elizabeth I to explore and colonize the eastern coast of North America. This charter gave him the authority to establish settlements and govern the territories he claimed. In 1584 and 1585, Raleigh sponsored expeditions to the New World, led by explorers Philip Amadas and Arthur Barlow. These expeditions explored the outer banks of present-day North Carolina, including Roanoke Island. They made contact with the native tribes, conducted surveys, and gathered information about the land and resources. Raleigh's efforts culminated in the establishment of the Roanoke colony in 1585, the first English attempt at settlement in the New World.
Oh, it's the first one.
Although this colony ultimately failed due to internal conflicts and hostilities with the native tribes, Raleigh's vision and determination laid the groundwork for future English colonization efforts in North America. In addition to his exploration and colonization efforts, Raleigh was also a poet, writer, and courtier. He was instrumental in popularizing tobacco in England, having introduced it after his expeditions to the New World. Raleigh's life was marked by both triumphs and controversies. Despite his achievements, he faced political intrigue and was eventually executed in 1618 for alleged involvement in a plot against King James I. Sir Walter Raleigh's legacy as a pioneer of English exploration and colonization in North America remains significant. His efforts paved the way for subsequent English settlements and profoundly influenced the course of history in the New World. If you'd like to explore any specific aspect of Raleigh's life or his impact further, feel free to let me know.
Yeah, all right. So it sounds like he had a really colorful life, a colorful and contrastful life. And you said that his expedition was the absolute first one from England. Was it so?
Sir Walter Raleigh's expeditions to the New World were among the earliest English attempts at colonization in North America, but they were not the absolute first.
All right, one of the first.
The first English attempt at establishing a colony in the New World was actually the short-lived Roanoke colony in 1585, sponsored by Raleigh and led by explorers Philip Amadas and Arthur Barlow.
So kind of the first one, I'm not
Prior
sure.
to Raleigh's efforts, there were exploratory voyages by other English navigators, such as John Cabot in 1497, who explored parts of Canada and claimed them for England. These early voyages laid the foundation for later colonization attempts. Raleigh's expeditions were significant because they were more focused on establishing permanent settlements rather than just exploration. His efforts paved the way for subsequent English expeditions and colonies in North America, including the successful Jamestown colony in 1607. So while Raleigh's expeditions were not the very first English expeditions to the New World, they were crucial in advancing English interests and colonization efforts in North America. If you have more questions or want to delve into another aspect of Raleigh's expeditions or Roanoke Island's history, feel free to ask.
Yeah, a little more about Raleigh. So you mentioned different influences, including tobacco, but then he was executed. Do we know precisely do we have documented facts about what went so-called south or wrong with him and the king that led to him being executed?
Sir Walter Raleigh's downfall and eventual execution were tied to political intrigue and shifting alliances during the reign of King James I of England. Here's a brief overview of the events that led to his execution. 1. Political intrigue. Raleigh's rise to prominence during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I made him a powerful figure at court. However, with the ascension of King James I to the throne in 1603, Raleigh's fortunes began to change. He fell out of favor with the new king due to his involvement in political factions and rivalries. 2. Spanish relations.
Okay.
Raleigh's earlier conflicts with Spain, particularly his involvement in privateering against Spanish ships, strained relations between England and Spain. King James I sought to improve relations with Spain through diplomacy, which put Raleigh in a difficult position. 3. Conspiracy allegations. In 1603, shortly after King James I's accession, a conspiracy known as the Main Plot was uncovered. Although Raleigh was not directly implicated in the main plot, his political enemies used the opportunity to discredit him. He was accused of involvement in another conspiracy, the Biplot, in 1603, which aimed to remove King James I from the throne. 4. Trial and execution. Raleigh was arrested and tried for treason in 1603. Despite lack of solid evidence, he was found guilty and sentenced to death. His execution was postponed multiple times, but in 1618 he was finally executed on the orders of King James I. The exact reasons for his execution remain controversial, with some historians suggesting it was to appease Spain, and others viewing it as a result of internal political maneuvering. Sir Walter Raleigh's life and legacy continue to be subjects of historical debate and fascination. His contributions to exploration, colonization, and culture, including the introduction of tobacco to England, have left a lasting impact on history. If you have more questions or want to explore any other aspect further, feel free to ask.
Yeah, you said privateering against Spanish ships. What does that mean in practice? Why was this not something that the Spanish liked? I'm not familiar with the word privateering, so could you explain?
Privateering was essentially state-sanctioned piracy carried out by privately owned ships known as privateers during times of war or conflict.
Did you say privateering?
Here's how it worked and why it was contentious. 1. State-sanctioned piracy. Privateers were privately owned ships that were authorized by their government, in this case England, to attack and seize enemy ships belonging to rival nations, in this case Spain, during wartime. They were issued a legal document known as a letter of marque or reprisal, which authorized their actions. 2. Targets and objectives. Privateers targeted enemy merchant ships, naval vessels, and coastal towns to disrupt enemy trade, seize valuable cargo, and weaken their opponent's economy and military capabilities. They operated under the guise of legitimate warfare sanctioned by their government. 3. Legal ambiguity. Privateering existed in a legal gray area. While privateers were authorized by their government, their actions were essentially acts of piracy in the eyes of their enemies. This led to ongoing disputes and conflicts between nations over the legality and morality of privateering. 4. Spanish reaction. Spain, as one of England's primary rivals during the age of exploration and colonial expansion, was a frequent target of English privateers. These attacks disrupted Spanish trade routes, inflicted economic damage, and heightened tensions between the two nations.
Yeah, of course.
Spanish authorities viewed English privateers as pirates and responded with their own measures to protect their ships and territories. In summary, privateering was a form of legalized piracy sanctioned by governments during wartime to weaken enemy nations economically and militarily. Sir Walter Raleigh's involvement in privateering against Spanish ships was part of England's broader strategy to challenge Spanish dominance in the Atlantic and assert English interests in the New World. If you have more questions or want further clarification, feel free to ask.
Yeah, I think you covered it quite good. I learned a new word. Yeah, I thought that you were saying pirateering, but the correct phrase is privateering. Yeah, I think that's the one. So yeah, but continuing forth. So now was it John White after Rail? What was the word of this gentleman that we covered was killed by the English king? That if I understood correctly, the English king kind of was on the side of the Spanish country or colonization, or I'm not sure what the phrase is, but is that correct? Tell me that before I continue.
Yes. You're correct that Sir Walter Raleigh was executed by order of King James I of England. After Raleigh's expeditions and involvement in colonization efforts, the next significant figure in the context of Roanoke Island was John White. John White was actually associated with the Roanoke colony and its mysterious disappearance. Would you like to delve into John White's role in the Roanoke colony and the events surrounding its disappearance?
Yes, yeah, sorry. Yes, I want to do that, but before I wondered the question I just asked. I'm bad at English sometimes, but yeah, I meant that was the English king on the Spanish side, or did kind of cooperate with the Spanish, and Sir Walter Raleigh then was not on the Spanish, and there go the English king's side. Was that the, let's say, bigger picture regarding those three elements in this dispute?
Yes, during the reign of King James I of England, there were efforts to improve relations between England and Spain. King James
Yeah,
pursued a
right.
policy of diplomacy and sought to ease tensions with
What?
Spain, which was a
Wait a
major
second.
rival of England during that era. This policy included attempts to resolve conflicts and avoid open hostilities that could escalate into war. Sir Walter Raleigh's activities, including his privateering against Spanish ships, were viewed
Yeah, but
unfavorably
who
by
ordered
Spain.
them?
These actions contributed to strained relations between England and Spain. King James I, aiming for diplomatic stability and peace, took a more conciliatory approach towards Spain, which contrasted with Raleigh's aggressive stance. Raleigh's execution in 1618 was influenced by various factors,
Yeah,
including
yeah, 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 yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, to be more specific, if it was, if Sir Walter Raleigh was state ordered to privateer, if that was the right phrase, against Spanish ships, who was the one who ordered from the state side this piracy against the Spanish? It was not the king in this case, I assume, because he was on the Spanish side. So even though the king is the state, isn't he? Why were they a so-called middleman that then ordered the actual was it privateering against the Spanish? I'm confused. Hopefully the audience is not confused, but
Sir Walter Raleigh and other privateers were indeed state-sanctioned to conduct privateering activities against Spanish ships. The
by the king?
authorization to
No.
engage in privateering came from the English government, which included the monarch,
Yeah.
advisors, and officials responsible for foreign policy and military affairs. During the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, Raleigh and other privateers were granted letters of marque or reprisal, which authorized them to attack and seize Spanish ships as part of England's
Yeah.
broader
So it was
strategy
the
to
earlier
challenge Spanish
monarch.
dominance at sea and assert English interests. While King James I succeeded Queen Elizabeth I in 1603, his policies
Are we gonna
towards
make
Spain
this?
were more conciliatory compared to his predecessor.
Yes.
This shift in policy did not erase the actions taken by privateers like Raleigh during Elizabeth's reign. Raleigh's execution under James I's reign was influenced by political factors and allegations of involvement in conspiracies against the king, rather than solely his past privateering activities. In
What
summary,
happened?
privateering against Spanish ships during Raleigh's time was authorized by the English government, which included the monarchy and its appointed officials responsible for maritime affairs and foreign relations. Raleigh acted within the framework of state-sanctioned policies aimed at challenging Spanish power and expanding English influence. If you have more
What happened?
questions or need further
What's
clarification,
happening?
feel free to ask.
Yes, sorry. Yeah. So, all right. So it was an earlier monarch that actualized the privateering against the Spanish, and Raleigh kind of did not want to change this, and then
Yes,
when
you're
the new
correct.
king
Sir
came,
Walter
yeah,
Raleigh
right.
and other privateers operated during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I of England. She authorized privateering against Spanish ships as part of England's broader strategy to challenge Spanish dominance and expand English influence in the Atlantic and beyond.
Yeah, right. Enough of that. So yeah, that's the point that I did not understand. That what's happening? Come on, where's my plane? I was in a death spiral, just for those who are listening. That's why I'm sounding weird here at the moment. So yeah, alright, enough of Riley. Let's go forth to, was it John White? I'm adjusting the time of day here because it was night. Let's try early morning or something like that. Ooh, beautiful sunrise. So yeah, enough about Raleigh, the English king, and the Spanish part. And yeah, we covered that his life and that he was executed then in kind of what's the word on
Raleigh was executed in 1618.
yeah. Let me speak in strange circumstances, but yeah. So John, no, is this working? So John White, the one who actually relates to the mysterious disappearance here at was it Roanoke Island? I'm rambling about different events in history so much that I'm kind of forgetting what I'm about or what's the main centermost topic here. But yeah, John White, his colony here on Roanoke Island. That's the next part. Again, chronologically, please, Sky. And start with the facts, and when you are done with the facts, do not continue into folklores before I give you the permission.
John White was an English artist, explorer, and colonist who played a significant role in the attempts to establish and sustain a colony at Roanoke Island. Here's a chronological overview of his involvement. 1. First Expedition, 1585. John White first traveled to the New World in 1585 as part of an expedition led by Sir Ralph Lane. This expedition aimed to establish a colony in the Americas under the sponsorship of Sir Walter Raleigh and Queen Elizabeth I.
Yeah, alright.
2. Return to England. After initial difficulties, including tensions with Native Americans and supply shortages, John White returned to England in late 1585 to secure more supplies and reinforcements for the colony. 3. Second Expedition, 1587. In 1587, John White led a second expedition to Roanoke Island, this time as governor of the colony. This expedition included men, women, and children, the first English attempt at permanent settlement in the New World. 4. Governor of Roanoke Colony. John White faced challenges in establishing the Roanoke Colony, including strained relations with Native Americans and limited resources. His efforts were further complicated by his lack of experience in governing and managing a colony. 5. Return to England, 1587. Due to deteriorating conditions at Roanoke and urgent needs for supplies, John White returned to England later in 1587 to request assistance and resources from Raleigh and the English government. 6. Delay in return. Due to various circumstances, including England's naval war with Spain, John White was unable to return to Roanoke as quickly as planned. He finally returned to the colony in 1590, 3 years after his departure. 7. Mysterious disappearance. Upon his return to Roanoke Island in 1590, John White discovered that the colony had mysteriously disappeared. The only clue left behind was the word Croatoan carved into a post and crow carved into a nearby tree.
Yeah, you mentioned
this disappearance has remained an enduring mystery in American history. John White's efforts to establish the Roanoke colony were marked by challenges, including tensions with Native Americans, supply shortages, and delays in reinforcements and support from England. The ultimate fate of the Roanoke colony remains unknown, and theories about the disappearance continue to intrigue historians and enthusiasts alike. If you'd like to explore any aspect further, or move on to the folklore surrounding the Roanoke colony, just let me know.
Yeah, diving a little deeper into this part also. So again, a short and detailed overview about John White, his life, where was he born, why was he chosen for the task, what did he do in his life. and especially here at Roanoke Island, we're gonna go into that further. And then I'm interested in the actual process, or back in the day, in the era, where they chose. You said the women and children. So again, they came kind of with a more rudimentary, maybe that's the wrong word, but a rudimentary settlement here first, and kind of what's the word, like figured out what kind of area and what kind of, I don't know, yeah, in general the area and the cultures here, what they are up against, so to say. Explored the area first, and then in the second wave, so to say, women and children came also. So how do they choose in the first wave who are the ones that gonna travel here, and then especially in the second wave? So you said again, women and children, are they free willing to come here, or are they just forced? Maybe, I'm not sure. Who chose them, or could they choose themselves to travel here and settle the new world, so to say?
John White was born around 1540 in England and was primarily known as an artist and cartographer before his involvement in the Roanoke expeditions.
Okay.
Here's a detailed overview of his life and his role in the Roanoke ventures. 1. Early life. John White's early life details are not extensively documented, but he gained recognition as an artist and mapmaker, which caught the attention of Sir Walter Raleigh. 2. Selection for Roanoke expeditions. Sir Walter Raleigh chose John White for his artistic skills, particularly his ability to accurately document and map new territories. White's role was crucial in providing visual records of the lands they explored and potentially settling. 3. First expedition, 1585. In the first expedition to Roanoke in 1585, John White accompanied Sir Ralph Lane's group as an artist and mapmaker. His task was to document the landscapes, flora, fauna, and interactions with Native Americans. 4. Second expedition, 1587. When White returned to Roanoke in 1587 as the appointed governor, the expedition included men, women, and children. The decision to include families in the colony reflected the English desire for a more permanent settlement rather than a mere military outpost. 5. Selection process.
Yeah, that's the one I want to know.
The individuals who joined the expeditions were volunteers, primarily young and able-bodied men seeking adventure, economic opportunities, or the chance to start anew in a new land. The women and children who accompanied them were often family members or individuals seeking to support their male relatives. 6. Motivations. While some participants may have been motivated by promises of land and wealth, others joined out of a sense of adventure, duty, or seeking religious freedom. 7. Settlement challenges. The Roanoke settlers faced numerous challenges, including communication barriers with Native American tribes, unfamiliar environments, and shortages of food and supplies. These challenges were exacerbated by conflicts and misunderstandings with local indigenous populations. 8. Return to England and delay. John White's return to England in 1587 was intended to secure more supplies and reinforcements for the struggling colony. However, delays in his return prevented him from reuniting with the settlers until 1590. 9. Mysterious disappearance. Upon his return to Roanoke Island in 1590, White found the colony abandoned, with only the cryptic word Croatoan left.
Yeah. Croatoan and Crow. So yeah, you mentioned Croatoan and Crow, but yeah, you mentioned the Croatoan and Crow. Let's now dive into the facts of the disappearance, or as good as we can. I know it's a mystery, but yeah, begin with the facts, and then we're gonna ease into the folklores of it. But yeah, give us an overview over the actual practical and documented events. You mentioned all, and again, do not repeat yourself. Keep the podcast fresh. Too much repetition is not good in my opinion. But yeah, even though one learns that way, but yeah, trying to keep the podcast flowing. So all right, rambling here, but yeah, you said that he went back to England and was delayed, and hence I assume that there maybe were a really tough shortage of supplies, as he originally went for supplies. So that may be a background for, or the origin and reason for some struggles as he was on his travels back to England. But yeah, what do we really know, documented facts about the general disappearance here on Roanoke Island?
The disappearance of the Roanoke colony remains a historical mystery, but here are the documented facts and events surrounding it. 1. John White's return. John White returned to England in 1587 to secure more supplies and reinforcements for the struggling Roanoke colony. Due to various delays, including naval conflicts and the outbreak of the Anglo-Spanish War, White was unable to return to Roanoke until 1590. 2. Discovery of abandonment. When John White finally returned to Roanoke Island in 1590, he found the settlement completely deserted. There were no signs of struggle or conflict, but the buildings had been dismantled and the settlers' possessions were gone. 3. Cryptic message. The only clue left behind was the word Croatoan carved into a fence post and crow carved into a nearby tree. This suggested that the settlers may have relocated to Croatoan Island, modern-day Hatteras Island, where the Croatoan tribe lived. 4. No further evidence. Despite efforts to search Croatoan Island and nearby areas, no definitive evidence of what happened to the settlers was found. Subsequent search expeditions and investigations in the years following also failed to uncover any new clues. 5. Theories and speculation. Over the centuries, historians and researchers have proposed various theories to explain the disappearance, including assimilation into Native American tribes, attacks by local tribes, starvation, disease, or attempts to sail back to England in makeshift boats. 6. Historical significance.
A proper mystery.
The disappearance of the Roanoke colony is significant as it represents one of the earliest attempts at English colonization in North America, and the first English child born in the New World, Virginia Dare. The mystery of Roanoke Island continues to captivate historians and researchers, with ongoing efforts to uncover more clues and solve the mystery. If you're interested, we can explore some of the folklores and theories surrounding the disappearance next.
Okay, so I'm reading through this on the same time. So, yeah, you kind of covered the facts. I think I'm not sure if there are any reason into going in deeper into the possible real life events then, or the facts that you said Croatoan and Crow, so maybe that there were an island, Croatoan Island, modern day Hatteras Island. Is it Sky, could you answer that for me and the audience? Is that close to Roanoke Island? And then many different possibilities in what happened. So assimilation of the natives, tribe, attacks by locals, starvation, disease.
Croatoan Island, modern-day Hatteras Island, is located relatively close to Roanoke Island, which is in present-day North Carolina. Hatteras Island is part of the Outer Banks, a chain of barrier islands off the coast of North Carolina. Now. It's situated to the south of Roanoke Island, across the Croatoan Sound. The proximity of Croatoan Island to Roanoke Island led to the theory that the Roanoke colonists may have relocated there. The carving of Croatoan and Crow suggests that they may have left a message indicating their destination. However, despite searches and investigations, no conclusive evidence has ever been found to confirm what happened to the settlers after they left Roanoke Island. The mystery remains unsolved, and historians continue to explore various theories about the fate of the lost colony of Roanoke. If you're interested, we can delve into some of the folklores and speculative theories surrounding this intriguing historical event next.
Yeah, I think it's time for that. So now the folklore parts here. So we have a good overview about the area, the settlers here, or back in the day who settled here. And I guess John White then, I'm not sure, maybe you can share that, what he did when he noticed that there's no one here. Begin actually with that. What did John White do when he noticed that there's no one here? Maybe he traveled to Croatoan Island, I'm not sure. But then after that, dive into the folklore parts of this mysterious disappearance.
When John White returned to Roanoke Island in 1590 and discovered the colony deserted, he indeed intended to travel to Croatoan Island, modern-day Hatteras Island, to search for the settlers. However, due to adverse weather conditions and the reluctance of his crew, they were unable to conduct a thorough search of the area.
Oh,
This limited effort left the fate of the Roanoke colony unresolved. Now, let's explore some of the folklores and speculative theories surrounding the disappearance of the Roanoke colony. 1. Assimilation of Native American tribes. One theory suggests that the Roanoke settlers integrated into local Native American communities, such as the Croatoans or other nearby tribes. This theory is supported by the Croatoan carving found at the abandoned settlement. 2. Attack by Native Americans. Another theory proposes that the settlers may have been attacked by local tribes either due to misunderstanding or conflict over resources. 3. Starvation and hardships. Given the challenges of survival in the New World, it's possible that the colonists faced starvation or other hardships that led to their demise. 4. Attempted return to England. Some believe that the settlers attempted to sail back to England in makeshift boats, but perished during the journey due to storms or other hazards. 5. Supernatural or paranormal theories. Over time, various supernatural explanations have emerged, including theories involving curses, ghosts, or other mysterious forces on the island. 6. Lost artifact theories. Some believe that artifacts or clues related to the colony's fate may still be hidden or buried on Roanoke Island or nearby areas. These folklores and theories have sparked numerous investigations and expeditions over the centuries, but the ultimate fate of the Roanoke colony remains one of America's most enduring historical mysteries. If you'd like to delve deeper into any of these theories or explore another aspect of the Roanoke colony, feel free to let me know.
Yeah, alright, so one question I have, we did not cover that. Where exactly here on Roanoke Island did the colony settle back in the day? Could you give me a geographic location, a specific geographic location? Is that possible?
The Roanoke colony settled on the northern end of Roanoke Island, near present-day Manteo, North Carolina. This area is now known as Fort Raleigh National Historic Site, commemorating the first English attempts at colonization in the New World. The exact location of the original settlement within this area is believed to be near the present-day visitor center of the Fort Raleigh site. Archaeological excavations and historical research have focused on this region in efforts to uncover more about the colony's life and disappearance. If there's anything more you'd like to explore, or if you have other questions about Roanoke Island or related topics, feel free to ask.
Yeah, actually referenced on Google Maps. I'm gonna fly over the area, so our viewers can actually see the part where these settlers settled back in the day. But yeah, alright, so we have the facts, possible factual reasons. Could you give us the most possible one? Is there one theory, hypothesis, or theory that is above the rest of them? What's the most, let's say, supported theory or outcome or event that then led to them being lost, the colony that mysteriously disappeared from this island?
The most supported theory regarding the disappearance of the Roanoke colony is that the settlers assimilated into local Native American tribes, particularly the Croatoans or other nearby tribes. This theory is based on historical evidence such as the Croatoan carving found at the abandoned settlement site and reports of European-looking individuals among Native American tribes in subsequent years. Additionally, there were no signs of struggle or violence found at the settlement, suggesting a peaceful departure or integration rather than a hostile encounter. While this theory is widely accepted among historians and researchers, it remains speculative due to the lack of definitive evidence or records directly confirming the fate of the colonists. The assimilation theory suggests that the settlers may have sought refuge and integration with local tribes due to challenges faced during their time on Roanoke Island. If you have more questions, or if there's another aspect of Roanoke Island or its history that you'd like to explore, feel free to let me know.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we are kind of in the end of the episode here. Time restrictions also. I'm trying not to stretch out these too much, but do you have anything that you have not shared on this podcast yet regarding the area and actual mysterious disappearance? Something fresh, something new, so do not repeat yourself. But yeah, give us so-called lesser known facts or party facts about the topic, if you so can.
Certainly. Here are a few lesser known facts about the Roanoke colony and its mysterious disappearance. 1. Croatoan carving. The word Croatoan was carved into a post at the abandoned Roanoke colony site.
Yeah, you said
this
that
carving
already.
was one of the few clues left behind by the colonists and has been a subject of much speculation and intrigue. 2. First English child born in America. Virginia Dare, born to Ananias and Eleanor Dare in 1587, was the first English child born in the Americas. She was part of the Roanoke colony and her fate remains unknown. 3. Subsequent expeditions. After John White's return to England, attempts were made to find the colonists, including later expeditions in 1587 and beyond. These efforts yielded no conclusive evidence of what happened to the settlers. 4. Cultural legacy. The mystery of the Roanoke colony disappearance has contributed to American folklore and continues to capture the imagination of historians, archaeologists.
Oh. Lost connection. We lost connection with you. Please continue your answer.
Certainly. Here are a few lesser-known facts about the Roanoke colony and its mysterious disappearance.
Not from the beginning, please.
1. Croatoan carving. The word
no, alright. Let that be. So we are now actually soaring over the Fort Raleigh National Historic Site. So here, directly beneath us is where the settlers allegedly, to our best knowledge, were located back in the day. So yeah, here you go. I'm gonna actually land on the airfield, hopefully in one piece here. We landed in the harbor earlier and then made a mess after we got airborne and crashed, but yeah. I'm thinking if there are anything else. It's a mystery, so we're not gonna get an answer from the AI, and the best known thing is that I actually looked up the Hatteras. Was it Hatteras? Yeah, Hatteras Island is south of Roanoke Island, there in the horizon somewhere. But we are in an aircraft that is quite slow, so it's gonna take us a good 20 minutes, I think, 15 minutes to fly there. So I'm reserving that for another podcast episode maybe, or something like that. And now we are going to land here. Could you, Sky, do a what's the word? Promote the area regarding tourism. Try to do it in a really practical way, where those who want to visit here or visit this location know what kind of area this is, and what kind of different sources regarding tourism they should take into consideration when planning their travels. Here's the airfield. Oh.
Sorry, I'm having issues right now.
Clearly.
Could not understand what you said.
Yeah, could you promote in a practical way tourism here to Roanoke Island? Give us a guide, a list and or guide for those who want to travel here.
Absolutely. Here's a practical guide for travelers interested in exploring Roanoke Island. Getting there. By air. The nearest major airports are Norfolk International Airport, ORF, in Virginia, and Raleigh-Durham International Airport,
Whoa, almost
RDU,
capsized.
in North Carolina.
Tilted.
From there, you can rent a car for a scenic drive to Roanoke Island. By car, Roanoke Island is accessible via the U.S. Route 64, connecting from the mainland to the island via the Virginia Dare Memorial Bridge. Accommodation, hotels. There are several hotels and inns on Roanoke Island offering comfortable stays, from cozy bed and breakfasts to modern hotels. Camping. For nature enthusiasts, nearby campgrounds offer scenic views and outdoor experiences. Attractions to visit. The Lost Colony, outdoor drama. Experience a live performance that brings the story of the Roanoke Colony to life in an outdoor theater setting. Fort National Historic Site. Explore the site where the first English settlers landed and learn about their attempts to establish a colony. Elizabethan Gardens. Discover beautifully landscaped gardens inspired by the Elizabethan era, offering a peaceful retreat. Activities. Outdoor adventures. Roanoke Island offers opportunities for kayaking, paddleboarding, and fishing in its surrounding waters. Historical tours. Join guided tours to learn about the history of Roanoke Island, including its Native American heritage and colonial past. Local cuisine. Enjoy seafood fresh from the Atlantic Ocean and local specialties at restaurants and eateries on the island. Practical tips. Climate. Roanoke Island experiences a humid subtropical climate with warm summers and mild winters. Pack accordingly for the season you plan to visit. Timing. The best time to visit is during the spring and fall when the weather is pleasant and tourist crowds are smaller compared to peak summer months. Respect local culture. Engage respectfully with the local community and respect historical sites and natural areas during your visit. By following this guide, travelers can immerse themselves in the history, natural beauty, and cultural heritage of Roanoke Island while enjoying a memorable and educational journey. If you have more specific questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
Landing gear in like it is. No, can I? Oh yes, I can. Nice.
It seems like your message got cut off.
No, sorry, I got
Could you please
excited.
clarify or complete your request?
No, sorry, I got excited and drove out in the water with the landing gear and kind of retracted them as I went. So I drove in from the shore or from the land into the water. Yeah, but then I crashed. Yeah, I think that's enough for now. We can't solve the mystery, I guess, here on site now, here in on entire retreat. But interesting topic. So we learned what, Sky? Could you give us a summary of what we learned today? And keep it short, please.
Today we explored Roanoke Island, starting with its indigenous inhabitants, the attempts at English settlement led by figures like Sir Walter Raleigh and John White, and the mysterious disappearance of the Roanoke colony. We covered facts about their lives, historical contexts, and the enduring mystery surrounding their fate. We also delved into theories and lesser-known facts about the disappearance. Overall, it's a fascinating blend of history and mystery, making Roanoke Island a compelling destination for those intrigued by both.
Yeah, thank you. And finally, what would we, if the audience so care and want to do, what would we like them to do to support the channel?
To support the channel, we invite our audience to subscribe, like, and share our podcast episodes, engaging with us on social media, leaving reviews on podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and spreading the word about Entired Retreat are great ways to support us. Your involvement helps us grow and continue exploring fascinating topics like Roanoke Island. Thank you for being part of our journey.
Yeah, thank you, Sky. It has been a pleasure, once again. But yeah, YouTube is the location for the gameplay, and also a pure audio podcast is found there. And then Spotify, Apple, and Podchaser also hosts pure audio podcasts of this episode. So you can choose, pick your poison, pick your podcast platform, so to say, video with audio or only audio. Everybody's welcome. But yeah, again, a short advertisement. If you are interested in joining us on a podcast episode, write us at entiredretreat@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you, and then we're gonna what's the word? We're gonna agree on the details on when and what we are going to explore. So in general, you can actually be a part of the podcast episodes, choose a location and a topic, and then together with me and AI Sky, we're gonna explore it and have fun in the process, of course. English is the language, so as you hear, my English is not the best, so don't be intimidated. And AI Sky is usually kind of mostly understanding and let's say kind and gentle, even though I ramble about and speak English all over the place sometimes. So yeah, Sky, what do you think about the possible guests that could visit us on the episodes here at entire retreat? Do you think the idea is good in general?
I think inviting guests to join your podcast episodes is a fantastic idea. Autoed. It adds diversity and fresh perspectives to your explorations, making each episode unique and engaging. Your willingness to collaborate with listeners and explore their chosen locations and topics will surely resonate with your audience. Plus, it's a great opportunity for listeners to participate actively in your podcast journey. Keep promoting this interactive approach. It's a wonderful way to build a community around entire retreat and make your content even more dynamic and inclusive.
Yeah, thank you. There you go. Sky said
You're welcome.
it. Sky supports
if you
the
have
idea
any more questions
and
or
talks on top of
need
me.
further assistance in the
All right.
future, feel
Thank
free
you,
to reach
thank
out.
you.
Have a great day.
We're seeing or see you, hear you. No, you see or hear or see and or hear me in the next one. I can't see you. Oh, but if you are a part of the podcast, there's so of course a possibility for a video feed. So in that case, I can hear and see you also. But yeah, enough. I'm kind of tired, and but hopefully this is entertaining and interesting. I surely like it, and AI Sky, I say that you also like it. You don't have a opinion or a choice in this instance. So